I thought of a good opening.
What?
Come on, let's pod.
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
Another one was Centipede Hz. Like Death Grips.
Johnny Walker.
That's a good one.
Five, four, three, two, one.
This is the deal. That always struck me as such like a rap, like sort of a rap reference. Maybe I'm just thinking of like Kendrick Lamar, like, this is the new.
Yeah. Yeah, like, who was that DJ who always did the shout-outs on his mixtapes in like the early 2000s? Funkmaster Flex.
Gotta get that ID on the track, dude. Welcome, it's Bonefish Pod. We're back in the studio again in Bonefish HQ. And speaking of IDs, radio IDs, big inspo for this album. Like the radio station IDs.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those that you remember from your childhood?
Oh, dude, I was just back home, and it's just total narcotic to my ears. Light 100.5 WRCH, which is just total fucking mom rock. Like,
wow, what's mom rock?
You know, just like very gauzy, like 80s and 90s soft rock, like fucking Phil Collins,
yeah.
like Roxette, like,
nice.
You know, Sarah McLachlan.
Damn.
You know, the whole Lilith Core thing. Yeah.
LA needs a mom rock station.
I love it, man. I just like, I just like drove around listening to that station. And then I started making a playlist of like Light 100.5 WRCH Core.
Hell yeah. You gotta hook that up. Your 90s vibey dance playlist. It's pretty sweet.
Oh, nice, dude.
That Orb song is so good, that first one.
Yeah. Little fluffy clouds.
Yeah, the ones that stick out in my mind growing up were from Northwest Arkansas, which nobody else would know. But there was Power 105.7, which was like the top 40 pop one. And then there was like a really prominent Christian like rock radio station called 101.1 KLRC. And their tagline was the positive difference.
Ooh.
Little pun there.
Wow. Some bangers on that station?
No, that station sucked.
Yeah.
But the jingle was catchy.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember like 20 years ago now, coming out to LA for the first time. And this was before really like even like LimeWire or Kazaa took off and file sharing, you know? And it was just like a total pilgrimage to come out to the West Coast, turn on Power 106 and like listen to like West Coast hip hop.
Yeah.
Like that was me going to Spotify. Like I had to fucking travel to find music.
Yeah.
And like it was more, you know, music was like more regional and it was like,
yeah,
it was so cool and like such like a big deal. Like now it's like obviously
those days are done.
We can just fucking get anything we want in a split second, but LA radio still popping.
Yeah, dude.
Still very good.
You got K-Day.
Yeah, K-Day was another one where I was like, wow, like.
Yeah, that shit rules.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of radios, we've got it tuned to Bonefish podcast about psychedelic and experimental music.
Oh, yeah, this is Bonefish. I'm Justin.
And I'm Christian. And we've been talking about Animal Collective a bunch. And we're going to keep doing that right now. Centipede Hz, the album that will always be the one that came after Merriweather. And
yeah,
definitely at one time lived in its shadow, but one could argue has come out of that shadow a little bit upon further reflection, deeper listening in the passage of time. But
yeah, crazy. This album will be 11 years old in a few weeks. It was released September 4th, 2012. Their 10th album came out on Domino Records.
I thought it was their 9th.
Man, I cannot believe it's 11 years ago. I remember this time period very vividly.
Yeah.
Because the hype following Merriweather was so insane.
Yeah.
And the anticipation.
Yeah. Following Merriweather and also following Fall Be Kind. Oddsack, exactly. Yeah. Tomboy.
Down There too. I loved all those. Yeah. All those records.
And then the oft forgot Honeycomb single, which kicks ass.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, this was the first proper follow-up since Merriweather, but there was a lot of music in between, like we just mentioned, and all of it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I was pretty torn about this album when it came out, and I feel like I'm still like torn about it. I basically like see it as two things, and that's the live material and then the studio album. And when they started playing this material live in 2011, I was all over that shit. I loved it.
Yeah.
Saw them.
They were super exciting.
Saw them Prospect Park in Brooklyn, and then at Merriweather Post Pavilion.
Oh, wow.
A few nights later, which was really cool. Probably one of the best shows I've ever been to in my life. Like, right in the pit.
Yeah, to see that show in 2011 is insane. I feel like I remember seeing that show announced and being like, holy shit, they're playing at that venue. That's so rad.
That was like, I think that was maybe their biggest venue besides like a festival date, probably, right?
Yeah, I saw him at Pitchfork that year.
So you did see him at that Pitchfork. Yeah. So that Pitchfork set I listened to a lot, just leading up to the album's release. And so, yeah, I loved like just the whole vibe. I loved it. Panda back to drumming and all four of them. And just this very like muscular, visceral, like,
yeah, dude,
approach. And then the album came out and it just kind of blew by me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I had demoitis and I was tied to the live material, or the time of my life, I was in, or what it was. I was just kind of like, okay. But that being said, like, yeah, there's no bad Animal Collective albums. Yeah, I don't know quite what it was. Yeah, I mean, I remember like the radio station they did in the weeks leading up. I don't know if you ever checked that out. They were dropping the singles on their radio station. I think it was like Sunday nights. They do this weird radio transmission thing.
It's like from their website, right?
Yeah, and they premiered the album on their like radio station thing, streaming on their website.
Yeah.
That was cool. And I don't know. What did you think, thinking back to that period?
Yeah, I mean, seeing them at Pitchfork was incredible. It was like, I feel like my first sort of true Animal Collective show, in the sense where you get that, like you hear the new album before it's out kind of thing. I had seen them in 2009 in Dallas, but that was like, they had just released Merriweather and they played like pretty much mostly Merriweather with some mix of old stuff and like a couple new songs. I think like What Would I Want, Sky. But yeah, this was the first time seeing them sort of in this mode. Yeah, it was an incredible show. I remember them playing Did You See the Words at that one, which is an amazing version.
The best version of Did You See the Words out of any era.
It's so good.
And the transition into it, and all that whole era, the transitions I love.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I feel like, but there are transitions on the record. Like every song, there's transitions. Which,
oh, yeah, it's super.
So, anyway.
Kind of collaged together. But I had an amazing time in that show. And then, I definitely went through the experience of being like, oh, like they're playing a lot of new stuff that I'm not familiar with. But it was all so like electric and exciting that I was in for the ride. I was like, damn, like these are sick. Like I remember Today's Supernatural really vividly, and that like iconic beginning to that song. I remember Wide Eyed, and I remember like,
Deacon singing.
Who's this dude? Yeah. Obviously knew it was Deacon, but I was like, oh, like he's like stepping up in a way that he hasn't previously.
Yeah.
But I also remember really digging that song live. And then, I remember Monkey Riches.
That was a big early fave of mine.
Yeah. Is also just so intense and so much fun live. Yeah. I mean, there might have been a handful of others, but those are definitely the ones that stick out. Yeah. I was a little I'd say overall like underwhelmed at the time. I don't think as much as
By the
some
album?
people. Yeah, sorry. When the album came out.
Yeah.
Like I remember a lot of the criticism being around like the mixing and like the sort of abrasiveness.
Yeah, see that?
Which I didn't really, I mean, again.
That wasn't my issue.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you've heard these songs like we did, we know it was coming. I think the vocal filter on Avi's voice is a lot.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah,
a lot
the kinda
going on.
doubling, yeah.
And there's just there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Maybe they just feel a little more.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in
stiffer.
Merriweather too, you know, like.
Yeah, but Merriweather compared to Centipede Hz, Centipede Hz is
Yeah, definitely
like they
darker.
don't the way they build stuff and slowly reveal what's going on in their music,
Mhm.
that is gone in Centipede Hz.
Right. Yeah.
Gone are like the vocal harmonies.
Yeah, there's not
no
a lot
harmonizing.
of. Yeah.
Gone are like the squishy water samples and like the nature sounds.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, you know, was made and created in reaction to Merriweather, which, you know, not only was the Merriweather tour probably the least quote unquote live they had been, in the sense that like, you know, they're playing like samplers and stuff and like singing and like there's some instruments on stage, but it's pretty like removed from the live experience.
It's pretty DJ heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. That they would, it makes sense that they would want to, you know, react against that and embrace like a really live, visceral feel. But also this, you know, they're just coming off the record that like made them way more famous than they'd ever been.
Well, that's
and so
the thing. It's
it
like,
was always sort of going to be kind of a sort of fuck you a little bit.
yeah, and it's like critically, of course, this album was going to be doomed because it's the album that comes after their most acclaimed album.
Mhm.
So it's like anything was going to be, I guess, kind of a letdown.
Yeah,
But,
I think there are interesting reasons to point
I
at.
think it's a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I really don't. I get the like use of samples and sonics and stuff, but people saying like, oh, it's so like abrasive, like the whole burrito on the windshield thing.
Oh yeah, we should say. So yeah, there's a line in the Pitchfork review, which was basically like, this album is like smashing a burrito on a windshield where its ingredients like immediately,
Like they all hit you at once kind of thing. And he's referencing sort of like the lack of that sense of discovery that a
the
lot of their
build and,
great
like,
songs have.
Yeah, it's kind of just like splattered paint on you know, right away, and
Yeah.
nothing very subtle,
Right.
which I think was the point.
Well,
I
I just don't totally agree with it either. Like it is like they clearly weren't after a like ambient build sense of discovery, but there are still, I think, a lot of like cool moments of discovery and like different ways they get at sort of disorienting you or like giving you these surprises. And like for example, almost every song on this album has like a pretty significant time signature change. I know a lot of their songs do, but like specifically almost every song on this album has like a pretty deliberate change in time signature or like some switch up of the groove. And like Amanita has like 3 distinct like parts that all have like pretty major rhythmic changes. So
yeah, that's cool.
I feel like that was kind of overlooked at the time. And
I feel like I think it's like my favorite like Panda drumming. Like,
yeah, dude,
it's
definitely one of my favorite setups.
Because he's like got a full kit. He's got like a cool shaker or whatever.
He's got a massive kick drum. It's like so
massive
big.
Kick drum, and he's got like he puts on like an effect on the drums too.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, it's sort of like a mix of a drum set and like a Latin kit. He's like has those bongos that he like smacks with sticks, which I've never seen anyone else do.
I mean, it sounds dope. Like I love, like seeing it live. I was like, yes, like this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
and then there's that like weird cylinder, like metal cylinder thing.
It's like uses it almost like a hi-hat kind of.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then there's like a huge like gourd shaker on one side too. But it's an awesome rhythm section.
And then you got AV mostly on synth
/ like circus organ. Like today's Supernatural's got that like
like you're in a circus or something. So yeah, I guess we should say like this was, I guess, the period when critically at least the band kind of went lukewarm among critics. Like it was kind of the beginning.
Yeah,
of the end
feels
a little bit.
Through Sung Tongs through Merriweather was kind of their, I'd say, most consistently critically acclaimed.
Yeah, and this
like,
is where
after hit.
The Pitchfork review was pretty lukewarm, gave it a 7.4. But I feel like today that would be like, I don't know, a 6.6 or something. Like, Pitchfork does two types of reviews. They do like the good 7.4 and the bad 7.4, you know?
I mean,
like,
certainly they had championed them for so long that they probably, maybe
like 7.4
graded it
is like,
on a curve.
Yeah, I mean, 7.4 is like, it's good.
Well, and if you read the review is like, this is not a very good album.
Right, and it doesn't match up.
But that's what they do,
yeah.
But
but that being said, like, amongst fans and amongst just music listeners, like, I think a lot of people like this album. Like, I think.
Yeah, I know. I think it's definitely, I like it more now than I used to. And I think maybe it's interesting also hearing it in like a post-Time Skiffs like era where they are kind of back in this live band, like we want to feel that sort of creative energy together thing. But I feel like upon further reflection, I've also identified some things that maybe are why I didn't connect with it as much at the time. And I think one of them is that it's a big time AV record, right? Which he's awesome, goes without saying. But I think coming off Merriweather, where he has incredible songs, but whose sort of like bigger songs and singles were all kind of Panda Bear led tracks. You know, I think for people who maybe gravitated more towards the Panda songs, maybe his like relative absence on Centipede Hz is sort of part of that. And I mean, he has 2 tracks he sings on. But I'd say, I mean,
that's usually most Animal Collective albums.
Right.
Besides
but I think
Merriweather or Painting With, really. Or maybe Sung Tongs, you could say.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think a lot of people who became fans through Merriweather, me included, were maybe looking for, and not only
Panda,
but just their collaboration too. Because like, that's another thing that I think is different in Centipede Hz following Merriweather is that like, there's like 2 Panda songs that AV like doesn't sing on or like barely sings on like backup. And then all the AV songs, there's not really many Panda Bear. And he's like, he just went to being a drummer for the songs, which is cool, but you kind of lose that interplay a little bit on Centipede Hz of him like singing, like Honeycomb, that single that came out before is definitely like an AV Tear song, but there's these like sick Panda Bear backup vocals that come in that really make it feel kind of like that Merriweather energy of like, oh, these are 2 terrific singers like playing off each other.
Yeah, that's a great song. I mean, when I heard the singles came out like a couple months before the album and dug those 2 songs.
But you know what I mean? Like they just feel a little more distinct. And they talked about like in this like creators YouTube interview, AV talks about how like, like Noah did a bunch of the songs on the last record, but he had just done a solo record. And so this album has more of my songs. He's like, I kind of just had more time. But it also seems like that was sort of part of it. Like it was made a little quicker or something than Merriweather was, where they were like, okay, here's the songs I wrote. Here's the songs you wrote.
I guess for me, like I was never like, oh, where's Panda Bear? You know, I was like, it was totally okay that it's mostly AV and I just loved hearing Panda Bear on drums. But I get where like fans were coming from if they just hopped on the Merriweather train and thought this is what the band does. It's always a 50-50 thing.
Yeah. Which I think is the case for a lot of these like maybe more prominent reviewers that hadn't reviewed their albums much before or like suddenly paying attention.
Yeah, I was
and
reading
they're
the
like,
New York Times.
Merriweather's the big one. Like that's my one reference point kind of thing. Like,
I mean, I was reading like the New York Times review and it was like, where's Panda Bear? You know, who's this AV Tear guy?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of I think fans are like, they think that Panda Bear's he hasn't been giving up his best material for the band since Merriweather. That he's been kind of saving him for himself. Like Newtown Burnout, pretty sure is a Tomboy leftover. Really? Or from the Tomboy era, yeah.
I was wondering that as I was listening recently, like, because Tomboy's all about that like triangle of like vocal, guitar, and like beats. And I was like, oh, this song kind of has a little bit of that flavor. It's a sick song. I mean, I'm glad it's an Animal Collective song. I feel like it's maybe a little better for it. Again, I didn't hate the record at the time by any means. Like I had really like most of the enjoyment I got out of the record was listening to it and like reliving that show I saw in songs like Today's Supernatural and like Monkey Riches. I will say like the recording of Today's Supernatural, I remember being a little bit like, oh, this isn't like the electric live version. There was a little bit of like adjustment with that one.
Yeah, like I said, I was really tied to that blown out Pitchfork recording that's been flowing around. Really listen to that one a lot. Yeah, it's crazy that this debuted at 16 on the Billboard charts.
Yeah.
But Time Skiffs, which is like critically a way better album, was at 152 for its debut. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Come on.
Just reading on the Wikipedia today, there's a quote from Gio. I think it's 4 years after Centipede, so it probably would have been the Painting With maybe era. But he said, coming back for Centipede Hz was difficult. I think he means like coming back together after Merriweather stuff. It was a super emotional time because of the way we set up the making of that album, taking us all to Baltimore. The unsettled nature came out on the record. It was just a very different process from the more easygoing one that Merriweather had been. We wrote it for the stage, and before recording, some of us got set ideas about what songs should sound like, where certain parts should fit in. Then when we went to ooze all those 4 different perspectives together, there weren't battles, but it did lead to a lot of things staying in the mix, which I feel like is sort of a hard...
Staying in the mix?
Yeah, I mean...
What does that mean?
I don't know. But, I mean,
Don't you want things to stay in the mix? Or like the bad stuff?
I mean, I think it's maybe implied, but it did lead to a lot of things staying in the mix that maybe some people didn't want. Maybe? I don't know. I mean, I thought it was interesting. Like, he says, there weren't battles, which sort of makes it sound like there maybe kind of were something like that. So yeah, I don't know. It sounds like doing Merriweather, going on the tour, doing solo albums and stuff, and then coming back all together. Maybe there was some sort of, I don't know.
Well, they hadn't played together in 5 years, all 4 of them, right before Strawberry Jam came out, right?
Gotcha.
4 years not playing together?
Yeah.
It's a while. It's a while.
Totally.
Man.
They recorded it at this studio called Sonic Ranch.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Which is a really rad place.
It looks like a cool studio.
I've actually been there super randomly. I got to go years ago when I was touring with this band. We were passing through El Paso, where it is, and they just happened to see our tour route and invited us to like stay the night there and like record there for the day. I think that's like how they get clients, but it's super rad. It's like this crazy large pecan ranch.
Yeah, it's like right by the border too.
It's right by the border, and a bunch of people now have since done records there. Like,
I think Bonefish recorded his last album there.
Yeah, it's super. It's like Mexico's like right there, like you can see it.
Should we go track by track?
Track by track. Moonjock.
Nah, bro.
What?
Yeah, the
shocked.
guitar, man. the Rush prog rock style guitar.
Oh, and those power chords coming at the beginning.
That I think is maybe what put the bad taste in my mouth, and it's like the first thing you fucking hear.
Crazy, dude.
I
dig Moonjock, man.
You do?
I ride for Moonjock. I think it's badass. I think following the excitement of the live show
I think
songs,
it's kind of fucking lame. And
damn.
Which I still
Did
have
not see
listened
this
to it
coming.
a fucking ton.
Yeah.
Despite saying that, like, I don't hate it. I know like AV for a while was talking about the things he tried to really avoid in making music was distortion, like guitar distortion. And they made the exception here.
Is it like butt rocky for you? They're like, I
mean, it sounds like Limp Bizkit.
No way, dude. Oh,
doesn't
this
it?
is amazing.
Come on.
No.
Dude, it's Limp Bizkit, bro.
No, it's not. Absolutely not.
I kind of like Limp Bizkit, but like, you know, chocolate starfish, hot dog flavor water. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here.
Dude, I think following the live songs that I really dug, hearing a new song that kind of starts off with this, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I remember hearing those like chords in the beginning when they come in, like the cha 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 cha, and I remember being like, huh. But then like the song starts, and I'm not really paying attention to that part anymore. I'm just like caught up in like the melody and stuff.
Yeah, because you're being like just assaulted with things going on.
It doesn't sound that crazy to me. I mean, there's like, yeah, it's I dig it, dude. I really dig the switch from the like 5/4 time signature into the no way to remind me of part. And that whole melody, I dig it. The ending tapers off a little for me, the run it out part. But yeah, I dig it. I dig the lyrics, like road trip with the family, you know, listening to music. Cool. It's a divisive record. We've begun divisive.
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm glad it makes you feel good.
All right. Jockers, fellow Moon Jockers, reach out and need your support.
But, you know, it sets the tone, and you have this cool transition, you know, a lot of cool radio transmissions and transitions into songs.
Yep.
And so, yeah, like this is like their like outer space record, right? Like it's clearly not set in the natural world. Like there's no nature samples. There's no water. There's no.
Yeah. It's like in a closed space. It's like you're in the room. I mean, that's part of why I like it is like you really feel those cymbal crashes. Like you really feel that like, which I think just hearing that in the beginning of Moonjock just, I don't know, excited me. Like I was like, oh shit, here we go. But yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the Deacon's absence and then his like first like re-entrance and contribution is something that
is that
totally
him on guitar? It's gotta be, right?
Gotta be, yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be him.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like,
Deacon, we love you.
Yeah, of course.
Today's Supernatural, the first single.
Yep.
Yeah, love this one live. Crazy intro, the way it kicks off live. It's just
dude. Like, evil AV.
Yeah, evil AV, dude.
Dark AV.
It's turn heel AV.
Welcome to the Dark
AV.
Carnival.
Yeah, like it sounds like fucking bugs being fried on a griddle.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
And then it pops off.
Got that Phantom of the Opera ass organ that he's playing little arpeggios on. Yeah, this song's cool. I did miss the sort of live feel of it. I mean, it does. I don't know. The recording does feel live, but I do feel like, oh yeah, I'm experiencing that thing where the memory and experience of hearing this song live is not really being matched up by this recorded version. But
yeah, at the same time, I like listening to this song. I like how they added the Panda kind of vocals at the end, the oh, 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 which he didn't sing that live. I remember being like, oh, cool, nice little touch. I think Pitchfork gave this best new track.
Oh yeah,
I think so. Some cool lines in it.
Yeah,
our home is bigger than a mountain view. I always like that line.
Yeah, I dig when this chorus comes back the second time, but like stays in the groove, doesn't do that like stop thing.
Yeah. This song sounds like a Limp Bizkit song. I'm gonna keep going with this narrative. Dude.
I mean, that part a little bit.
Does this sound like Nookie or something?
Should play them side by side.
Nookie's a sick fucking song.
Yeah. Dig the crazy alien radio feedback transitions. It sort of reminds me, maybe it's just because I've read White Noise in the last year, but kind of made me think of like the ambient detritus of like information that he includes in random places in that novel, whether it's like an overheard like commercial jingle
TV,
or like something, or like
just static that's seeped into our brains.
Yeah, it sort of reminded me of that listening.
Yeah, the vocals are crazy, like especially live, just kind of delay that he has and insane vocals.
Yeah, it's like they're slightly like detuned, just where he sounds like a little bit warbly and alien kind of.
Yeah, and there's like a delay on it too, like super explosive song, great drumming.
Yeah,
and
got a kind of weird video with like a go-kart in the desert, dune buggy.
Looks like some fucking Burning Man shit. And then we come down to earth a little bit to Johnny Walker. First Panda song, Rosie O.
Cool one. I dig it.
You like?
Yeah, it definitely grew on me at first. I was a little bit like, what's up with these like hijinksy guitars, like guitar licks?
Yeah,
sound like...
I thought of the Grateful Dead. Yeah. I remember people like complaining about like on Collected Animals the way his vocals sound. There were people like, what? Why does this sound like this? Like, just it sounds like he's in a room, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of the vocals I think on this album sound like in a room, which is kind of cool, but kind of like that dead air in a room sound, you know?
Yeah. And they're a little bit like smeared. But yeah, I dig the melody a lot. It's a classic Noah melody.
And then we have track 4, right? Wide-Eyed.
Applesauce.
Oh, forgive me. Applesauce. Yeah, that was when they had not played live. I don't know if they played it live at all during...
I definitely didn't hear it live, yeah.
Maybe they did. Applesauce. Great song.
Feel like a little Heineken roll.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
You dig Applesauce?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I do.
I do too. So sugary sweet, as the title and the lyrics sort of are as well.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I'm really into it. Sometimes I feel like it's a little too sweet for me. Like by the end, I'm like the melodies are so kind of catchy.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I know
his vocals are ridiculous.
It reflects the song in a cool way. Like the sort of like saccharine sweetness of it. But yeah, I think at some point I get a little too sweeted out a little bit. I don't know if it's whether he's talking about the,
like you want
the farmer picks the good thing.
You want the low sugar chocolate.
Yeah. But yeah, no, but I mean, but other times I throw it on and really digging it. I mean, it's so, yeah.
They played this during the Heimskiss tour, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the single eventually, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe the third or maybe second.
I think out of the songs that hadn't been heard, I like this one probably the most out of the new ones.
Yeah. Then we get to Deke's debut, Return of the Deke.
His first lead song in the band. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So
they opened up their set a lot with this one.
Yeah, I don't think they did at the Pitchfork show. I'm trying to remember if they did. Maybe. Oh, did they?
They did. Yeah.
That's probably why I was partly like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, it was like they had like a long kind of intro, like where's this going into Wide-Eyed into.
And Deacon's he's singing, and he's also like just like hitting this like electronic pad or something, right? It's like a little bit.
Yeah,
he's triggering the samples or something, but.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of that, like kind of doing some rhythm stuff. Yeah, what do you think of this one?
It's cool. It's I like it as a standalone song. It feels like an outlier at the time, and maybe still in some ways. But obviously, since I've had a handful of records now which have featured like Deacon-led tracks, you know, I think it maybe in retrospect isn't as kind of left field, but. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if you encountered the song in the wild without having heard this record, would you think like this is an Animal Collective song? Like I think the vocal is just so different, than AV and Noah's, and also just unfamiliar at that time to Animal Collective listeners. Like I think Anthony Fantano said he sounded like a weird like Jeff Mangum like version of Jeff Mangum,
really?
Which I thought was sort of funny.
Yeah,
but I dig the sounds, like the crazy like bubbling up synth.
I like AV's guitar lines, like the new.
Oh yeah,
I like his guitar playing. Yeah. Yeah, very proggy song, very space rock, cool. Not one of my, probably not even one of my favorite overall Deacon songs, like solo and with the band though.
Yeah.
Like I like, probably my favorite band song is Royal and Desire and some of his other solo stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Father Time?
Father Time. Happy little AV song. It's nice. I feel like it's maybe a little bit of mid-album kind of valley, just like a...
Yeah.
I like had times where I enjoy it, but it feels like, yeah, maybe a lesser, doesn't leave the biggest impression.
I guess that's about it. I like it.
You like it? Yeah. Sort of how I feel.
Moving right along.
NTB.
What a great title. Newtown Burnout.
Yeah. Feels like the lyrics are like about coming home. I guess you would have that if you have...
Guess his old town felt like a new town.
Yeah, or maybe he's got burnout from visiting so many new towns that he's talking about just finally getting home.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this song, Into Monkey Riches, is like the centerpiece of the album.
Yeah, I really dig the beat.
Yeah, I love that propulsive beat.
And then the like sort of...
Space blast off drone.
Yeah. Definitely the best Panda track on the album, though it doesn't have super stiff competition. I love the major chord change after he hits the high note going into that sort of B section of the song. And then the lift this weight. Pretty tight.
Yeah, I dig the song, and I love how it goes into Monkey Riches.
Oh yeah, introducing that kind of crazy synth line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Cool song. Still, I don't know what it was, but definitely it was like just very tied to the live version. I don't know.
Are we talking about Monkey Riches now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were still talking about Newtown Burnout.
Sorry.
It's all good. Monkey Riches live. Absolutely. So exciting, so fun.
Yeah, that was like the first song that like really stuck out to me a lot. It was probably my favorite from the live songs.
Yeah, I feel like this recording did a better job at like capturing some of that like live lightning in a bottle feel.
Live this song was fucking awesome.
Omega Monkey Rich.
Yeah, really, really, really good.
It's pretty long. It's like longer than I remember.
Yeah.
Like the recording, yeah. I'm like, oh, we're still going. I mean, it is definitely jammy. I think it earns it, but
yeah, for some reason this Newtown Burnout to Monkey Riches reminds me of like something like off like Kid A or something, or Radioheady a little bit.
Definitely.
It's kind of like the cold outer space, kind of like electronic.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
But added with like a little more of like a jungle or like
totally
weird.
Yeah, kind of like amnesiac, vibe. Like dark beats, sort of.
Yeah.
Definitely more evil AV on Monkey Riches too. You know, he really lets the
evil AV.
really lets the inner monkey out on that one. Mercury Man,
cute little song.
I really dig the intro and like the rhythm. I feel like some of these like more beat based ones, you kind of get you kind of start to see some of like the seeds that would go on to be Painting With a little bit. But
So I guess this is a King Tubby sample. I forgot.
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh nice.
I think that kind of like snaking, like literally centipede sound is like maybe a King Tubby sample. The Invasion is I think the song.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, this one's probably like one of my least favorite on the album.
Yeah, I think it's funny, like putting this on sort of standalone. It's like, oh, this is like it's like a nice Animal Collective song. I think it sort of suffers from like where it is in the track list. Like Newtown Burnout, Monkey Riches, and then like a like mid-tempo happy song like after Monkey Riches is like, yeah, I feel like
imagine if this was like track 3.
In context, yeah, it's a little bit, I don't know, I maybe put in this sort of Father Time camp as well as being like, it's nice.
It's fine.
Pulleys?
I like it, yeah.
Yeah. I feel kind of like similar to Mercury Man, but I'm just like, but just it's better.
Yeah.
It's got like a bit of a stronger pull, stronger identity.
Yeah, this one live they played, it's like 15 minutes long.
Oh, that's awesome. I have not heard that.
It gets pretty out there. It kind of turns into their like drum space section. But yeah, this was also a new song at the time. I hadn't played it live. Yeah, it's cool.
Then the closer, Amanita.
Dope song.
Dope song. One of the best on the album.
Yeah, for sure. Love the guitar riff.
Yeah.
Just like almost like kind of like a Northern African guitar riff, like
totally
something.
Adventurous, slightly evil.
Mm-hmm. And a classic Animal Collective ending.
Yeah, it feels kind of like for some reason the words "near escape" enter my mind when I listen to this song.
Near escape?
Near escape. Like I feel like I'm like driving away from something,
or like,
sort of as it's collapsing, maybe.
Yeah, or like running out of the woods. Like I think,
yeah.
Well, what are the lyrics? I'm gonna run into the forest until I can't remember my name.
Right.
Something like that.
Really dig the first change up into the "what have we done? What have we done?" part. That sort of B section sort of makes the song for me, and then it has that cool sort of near escape ending. Cool ender.
Yeah.
It definitely has earned that spot. I kind of wonder if I would just like this album more if this song just came right after Monkey Riches, and then we just put Pulleys and Mercury Man on an EP or something.
Yeah, or switch out Pulleys and Mercury Man with Honeycomb and that other song, Gotham.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the album.
Yeah, do you think it was unfairly derided at the time, or do you think some of the criticism has endured, holds up?
I mean, I feel like it's kind of properly rated.
Yeah.
Still, I would say, like for me, what I return to is the pre-album live sets. Like, 2011. Yeah. Like, to me, the album is that Pitchfork show, 2011. We should link to that in the show notes.
Definitely.
Because there's also a cool video, and you kind of get to see them more.
Yeah. There is something to be said, too,
band.
of, like, we experienced that sort of at, like, the peak of our excitement. Like,
yeah,
we, like, fell in love with this band, like, dug through their back catalog, and then, like, the first new thing was coming for us. And so those shows will always, have a special place in memory.
Yeah.
I think overall it's a little underrated. I think it gets maybe a little more hate than it deserves.
Yeah,
I still really don't get the like cluttered, insane, like poor muddy mixing. Like this album doesn't sound muddy to me. It sounds different and a little alien, but I feel like people were sort of using that as just a shorthand for like,
no,
this isn't Merriweather
yeah,
part
this
2.
isn't Merriweather, exactly.
But yeah, good album. Not my favorite of theirs. Probably not in my top 5.
Yeah, no, not in the top 5.
Probably my least favorite album art. Never been a huge fan of it for some reason.
Yeah, the album art is a lot. Their stage setup was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I did see them on this tour after.
Because they had the big mouth, like they're playing in a mouth.
Yeah, kind of arcing things.
Yeah. I think this is the tour I saw them on the most, was the Centipede era. But yeah, should we talk about like kind of where music was at in this period, like 2012,
Sure.
going into the post-aughts, like. So yeah, like it feels like this album was kind of the beginning or the end of sort of like the kind of late aughts chill wave kind of Brooklyn art rock scene.
Yeah.
A little bit. It was kind of the beginning of the end with this album.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, because you already had Frank Ocean just came out with Channel Orange. Kendrick dropped an album. Grimes came out with Visions. And it was kind of the beginning of like poptimism and like just like pop kind of really pop and R&B and dance music kind of really just like coming together as like this one huge thing for the next decade, and kind of leaving kind of this more of like the Brooklyn, more indie, weird art pop behind.
Yeah, it's interesting. Think of bands like Grizzly Bear too. They kind of endured a bit.
Yeah,
like Shields, through that.
Yeah, Shields came out around the same time, and that was a great album. That was, and I think Dirty Projectors came out with an album too. Swing Low Magellan came out that year too.
Yeah. Yeah, I also remember being pretty into like The National at the time. Like I feel like kind of Grizzly Bear and The National and like Beach House, sort of the bands that like kept kind of made it through, kept going. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Definitely sort of change of an era at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Good Kid, Mad City, like you said, coming out. I was pretty like, I was like playing guitar in a band at the time and got super into just sort of like guitar bands.
Yeah.
Like the beginning of 2012, I was in New York for like 6 months. Got really into like Dive and kind of like Mac DeMarco stuff when that was all sort of popping off. Like Beach Fossils and stuff.
Oh, nice, dude.
And then coming back to LA, yeah, I was starting to get into the whole like Ty Segall scene and kind of like LA garage rock and like the OCs and like White Fence. Sort of kind of like, that's where my sort of psychedelia strain continued.
Ooh.
Yeah, that Ty Segall and White Fence album Hair is so sick. And then, yeah, also in LA, there was stuff like, you know, Flying Lotus going on and like Low End Theory.
Yeah.
And that was also the year Andy Stott's record Luxury Problems came out, which I really dug. But then also like Lonerism, you know, by Tame Impala. So I think you can also see this period as a time when like quote unquote psychedelic music also is like going mainstream, or like people associate, you know, psychedelia with something as like commercially pop as Tame Impala, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting seeing Centipede sort of in the mix with all this, with all the rest of this music.
But I feel like the Centipede review, like the Pitchfork review, kind of was like, okay, now we're on like a downward trend a bit, at least among critics, I'm saying, just critically.
Yeah.
Just critically. Because then you went into, you know, the Painting With era and then a bit of a wilderness period for our boys.
Yeah, it's interesting. I doubt this was the Pitchfork one. It was probably one of like the more like old guard rags, but one of them is like, with Centipede Hz, like Animal Collective are, they're putting their skinny jeans on one leg at a time.
Yeah, I read that today too. Who wrote that? Wait.
All right, anyone who thinks anyone in this band has worn like skinny jeans or was like...
And one leg on at a time, does that mean that they're like careful about their musical choices? Like, I don't get it.
I'm not...
Wait, I read that today too. Who wrote that?
No.
Well, I think Metacritic has Centipede Hz at a 7.5 for critics, and then user reviews I think are 7.8. So, yeah, let's say split the difference. High, kind of almost a high 7. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I like that it's darker. The things I appreciate about it are that it's like a darker response to a like very happy album, and it's Anko goes Limp Bizkit, like you said, you know. And for those of us who like to go hard in the paint sometimes.
Yeah, man, I'm listening to Limp Bizkit on the ride home. Well, let's imagine that Centipede Hz and Painting With switch spots, and the people get what they wanted, and they get their Merriweather sequel. Because I feel like Merriweather is like, honestly, like a watered down version of Painting With is like a watered down version.
Oh, I was going to say, Chicka Waha what? Yeah, it's
you know what I'm
definitely,
saying?
they definitely have, yeah.
But in this alternate timeline, instead of like the album getting critically panned like it did, Painting With, that if it came after Merryweather instead of Centipede Hz, it would actually be very well received at, is my guess.
It's an interesting theory.
Yeah. And they would just like, blow into the stratosphere, and they could have made music for Sesame Street and all this shit. And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like there's one read of Painting With that's like, it was sort of too early for some people to get, like, critically, in terms of like, I don't know. Like, if you listen to it now, it feels like it's like super headphonesy, like almost like hyper pop in some ways, with like the
like 100 Gex style almost.
Yeah, like I feel like it could sort of find an audience today in that vein. Although putting it right after Merryweather is super interesting. I mean, the Venn diagram where those cross over is obviously a lot bigger than the Centipede Venn diagram middle piece. But
can't wait to do a Painting With episode.
Yeah,
we'll save it. Nice, dude. Well, I think that's enough.
For sure.
That's enough.
This has been Bonefish. Thanks as always for listening. We're on Instagram at bonefishpod. You can email us at bonefishpod@gmail.com. Check out some of our previous episodes. We interviewed Dave Portner earlier this year. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And let us know. Do you love Moonjock? Do you hate Moonjock?
Do you like Limp Bizkit?
Centipede!
Johnny Walker. You don't have to record.